Facebook dinged us on a post I made. I shared a post saying Chrissy was going to be on the show tonight.
Yeah.
It said this post goes against our policy.
I've gotten a couple
spam.
of those on the Rondeau race cars once, and I think that is spam.
Yeah.
If you look at the poster.
No, this was an actual thing that popped up in the middle of the Facebook screen while I was on Facebook.
I believe that it's spam.
Okay. Well, the post was gone.
Oh, you didn't delete it?
No.
Huh.
Oh, it's 7 o'clock. Time to fade this down.
Clang, clang, clang.
And then do this.
Hey Scott, I do want to do a thing about the burn on my leg.
Welcome, race fans, to the Hammer Down Racing Report. Part of the Evergreen Podcast Network. This is show number 377 for Thursday, May 8th. Scott Hammer, Ryan Miller, and John Young joining us in the studio. He brought us pizza and T-shirts, so
Heck yeah.
that's how you get in the studio.
Cool.
So he's going to be our official sponsor reader tonight. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out a transition to say that we're coming at you live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch from the Dominator Race Products studio. On the show tonight, we're going to talk to Christina Henricks a little bit later, get a preview for the upcoming season at Oakshade, which has been unfortunately delayed due to some...
Pushed back a little.
Yeah, so this weekend's opener's been pushed back to next Saturday,
Spoiler
the 17th.
alert, there's quite a few tracks that have pushed back this weekend's racing.
Is there? I know Millstream has, because of the... I got 3 inches of rain Monday night.
Yeah. I heard that you probably shouldn't tow to Montpelier.
Really?
Yeah.
I heard somebody else say that, but I haven't seen anything. Producer Dave, get on that. Find out if Montpelier is running this weekend. They ran last weekend, and it was fine.
I don't know.
Anyways, we'll be speaking with her a little bit later, but before that, we're going to be speaking with journalist and author, NASCAR journalist and author,
right.
Mike Hembree, on his new book that's going to be coming out on May 20th. It's called Petty vs. Pearson, The Rivalry That Shaped NASCAR. It's got a foreword by Terry Labonte in it. It's pretty cool. I got about halfway through it, so I haven't read the whole thing.
That's pretty cool, Scott, because it's coming out just a day before my birthday.
Well, happy birthday.
Oh, that's a couple weeks.
Okay.
We're good. I think I'll make it.
And I think those two were racing when you were probably actively watching NASCAR, maybe?
I'll bet.
Okay. It happened a little bit before. I caught the tail end of things.
Take that one to the bank.
Yeah.
I was watching.
So, we'll talk to Mike Hembree here in about 15 minutes or so.
Black and white TV, round screen, Scott.
One thing in his book,
ears.
one thing in the book, the foreword with Terry Labonte, it talked about that you had to go to movie theaters back in the 60s because it was some of the races were only on closed circuit television, and he talked about going to a movie theater.
I don't remember that.
Okay, maybe they didn't have them wherever you were.
Toledo?
Maybe it was only. Where's Terry Labonte from? Is he from North Carolina? Originally?
Texas.
Corpus Christi.
Texas Terry.
Texas
that makes
Terry,
sense.
yeah.
It's been a while. I just remember the cornflakes car.
Maybe there was no TV reception in Texas.
And actually, his brother Bobby's going to be over at Flat Rock along with Frank Kimmel on the 17th.
Just signing autographs or
Yep.
racing?
Autographs.
I kind of miss the SRX series, watching Bobby racing that.
Oh, I know it.
Anyway, you want to do a couple ad reads for us? We brought John in to do our ad reads tonight.
He's our promo guy.
Yeah.
I'll do my best, so excuse me if I stink, guys. But anyway, racers, elevate your racing performance with Dominator Race Products, the premier choice of high-quality, durable race car components. From innovative nose pieces and balances to robust fenders, and spoilers. Their products are engineered to enhance your vehicle's aerodynamics and durability on the track. Trusted by racers nationwide. Look them up at DominatorRaceProducts.com.
And Oakshade, come on.
And,
Next.
and then also racers, get ready. Finally, hopefully next week on the 17th, the Oakshade Raceway season schedule is out. Season begins, like I said, on the 17th with the Dirt Car UMP Late Models, DCR Graphic Sportsman, Dominator Superstocks, and the Compact divisions. You can visit OakshadeRaceway.com or follow them on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for the latest updates. Oakshade Raceway, where the fastest meet the race.
You gotta sound more excited reading those.
Oakshade Raceway, we're the fastest meet to race.
Overemphasize. Or something. Let's do our racing roundup for... we got a Hammer Down hotline coming up later as well as going to be giving away some Hammer Down Race Report window stickers courtesy of DCR Graphics. We'll be doing that for the How Many. And next week we're going to have a new contest. We got Speedy Sponsors going to be doing some stickers.
But wait, there's more?
Yeah, but that'll be next week. I got to figure out the mechanics of what's going on there. But also got to mention thanks to Ron Miller Race Cars, Magic Moon Entertainment, Dittman Motorsports, DCR Graphics, and Freeze Frame Photos for also sponsoring the program tonight.
Racing Roundup.
So yeah, hopefully you didn't miss us too much last week, as we took a week off. A very odd thing, really. We don't really take many days off. And
I was kind of bored.
Dave did mention here, thanks producer Dave, that nothing posted yet about Montpelier.
Okay.
Since yesterday. So
Don't know where my sources got their information.
Well, I don't know. I heard was it from you? No, I heard it from somebody else too, and I was like, I heard Millstream. Maybe the people are confusing Millstream and Montpelier because it starts with an M.
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Palmyra Speedway at Hilltop.
Call the milkman.
All right, we'll do.
Friday night winners there. Bentley Stacy won the Little Pup class. Conan Thompson was the kids' junior winner. Mason Coakley, kids' senior winner. Alex Guerin. Hopefully that's not a misprint of green or a typo of green. Geren, box light winner. Dean Skiles, your box heavy winner, and Smo Tater won the opens. Smo. Going with what Dave gave me on that one. Attica Raceway Park last Friday night because we're going back. We've got to cover 2 weeks here and get caught back up. Yeah, the 25th they got rained out. Last week though, Rusty Schlenk continuing his domination.
He seems to like that new car.
Undefeated at Attica Raceway Park. Won the American Late Model Ironman Series featured there. Tough break. I don't know if you watched that. Devin Shields was... they had a good battle. Him and Devin going back and forth. Devin got the lead back. And then something let go and Devin
radiator
hose, something like that. But it was a good race before that. Dustin Stroop winning in the 305s. Keith Sorg winning the dirt truck feature. And Byron Reed running the vintage cars and picking up the win in that. So, very cool. Fremont Speedway on the 26th. They got that in. The All-Stars finally kicked off their season there. A very heavy track that night.
It was hooked up all night long.
A lot of the very first heat race, right at the start-finish line, cars were flipping.
Yeah.
It was very eventful, very entertaining. Caleb Henry, though, picking up the win there in the Napa Auto Parts All-Star Circuit of Champions feature event. Kent Brewer winning in the dirt trucks. And I guess your son had a pretty good drive going there in the 35 truck, in your truck. He had to go to the tail, came back up to second, and then...
A carburetor that we bought from an ARCA team, I'll leave it at that. And I know that ARCA is very fussy about their carburetor rules and checks them over and over. That carburetor was found to be illegal.
So it got DQ'd then, huh?
No complaints on our part, Scott. It was illegal, and I guess we probably should have known, or at least asked the tech guy to check it for us. We didn't do that.
So are you guys good for this Saturday?
Yes, sir.
All right. This past Saturday, May 3rd, Fremont getting rained out. So no racing there this past Saturday. Lorraine Raceway Park, they got things going Saturday, April 26th. Matt Wilson winning in the street stocks. Nathan Hembree, modified winner. Dan Smith, Grand National winner. Jimmy Phillips picking up the factory stock win, and Ben Watson, your Ohio Pro Compact winner. Montpelier Speedway, Saturday, April 26th. That was rained out.
Right.
They did run last week. I went down there and raced and had a pretty good time. Had a little bit of a scare and had a tire going down at the finish, but it was fun.
And the car looks none the worse for wear.
No, it did not get, none the worse for wear. We'll go with that.
You're fine.
Yeah.
So you had a couple scares, actually.
Just one big one. Saturday, May 3rd there, the 410 downwing sprints. They had a lot of those. I think there was like 38. So it was a pretty big show. Trey Osborne getting the win in that. Clayton Bryant winning in the UMP Modifieds. Caleb Hinckley ended up winning in street stocks, and Jeff Matheny won in the super stocks. A lot of the Lima Eldora guys came up from Eldora because Eldora got rained out on Saturday. So some tough competition there. It was fun though. Eldora Speedway, Friday night, May 2nd, David Gravel picking up the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series win. Brady Bacon getting the USAC National Sprint Car Tour Series win. And then, of course, we just mentioned Saturday night's action got rained out. Lima Land, they got things going Friday. May 2nd, this past Friday, Max Stamball winning in the Great Lakes Super Sprints. Brendan Sherman, your UMP Modified winner. Todd Sherman in the Thunder Stocks. And I got to thank Todd Sherman. He helped. I needed some tear-offs because I thought the track was going to be pretty sloppy, which it didn't end up being sloppy at all. I hardly needed the tear-offs, but all good there. Butler Speedway, Saturday, May 3rd. Darren Nida picking up the win in the 410 sprints. Robbie Henderson winning in the UMP Modifieds. Travis Kyle getting the street stock win, and Dominic Morehouse, the four-cylinder winner. Looking for the big scare. Thanks. Flat Rock Speedway on Saturday, this past Saturday, Paul Pelletier won the Outlaw Super Late Model feature. Greg Stude was your street stock winner. Bryce Thompson getting the win in the figure eights. Sandusky Speedway supposed to get their opener this past Saturday, but it got rained out. High Tech Toowoomba going down under. I think this finally is wrapping up our Australian race coverage with these last few tracks here. Production Sedan National title back Saturday, April 27th. Josh Sayer winning in the Production Sedans. Todd Atkins winning in the Legend Cars. Manjimup Speedway on Saturday, April 27th, the Super Sedan Summer Series. Jordan Johnson winning in the Wingless Sprints. Ken Melvin in the Legend Cars. Oscar Amato in the Juniors. Clint Noakes in the Production Sedans. Matt Hammond winning in Street Stocks. That's a lot of classes. All Saturday, April 27th. And then finally, oh, nope, not finally. We have a couple more. Perth Motorplex, Fast Friday, this past Friday night. Riley Phillips picking up the win in the Wingless Sprints. Bill Stocks, your LS1 Sprint Car winner. Jesse James Samuels. That's a cool name, Jesse James. I like that. He was the Junior Sedan winner. Kristen Falconbridge, another cool name. Your V8 Dirt Modified winner. Brendan Marshman, Formula 500 winner. Max Lang won the Junior Formula 500. And Paul Jess, Legend Car winner, all there at Perth Motorplex this past Friday. And finally, Kalgoorlie. Almost got it. Kalgoorlie International Speedway. The Red Dirt Rumble this past Friday night. Jai Chalmers picking up the win in the late models. Wayne Leviston in the street stocks. And that, I believe, is probably going to wrap up the season for Australia. Closer to home here in the States, Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, the Georgetown Speedway, at Georgetown Speedway back on Friday, April 25th. Devin Moran picking up the win there. And then over to Hagerstown Speedway on Saturday, the 26th of April. Ricky Thornton Jr. picking up the win.
For sure?
I think so.
You're stumbling.
Yeah, I put my commas at the wrong place. I'm trying to match up the tracks to the right things here. Then it was on to Port Royal Speedway on Sunday, the 27th. Ricky Thornton Jr. getting the win there. Circle City Raceway on Friday, May 2nd. That's this past Friday night. Brandon Overton getting the win there. And then Saturday night got rained out at Florence Speedway.
What a surprise.
Yeah. I ran into Dan Rice, actually, at
I'll bet.
at the show I went to last Thursday night. And he was talking about
Florence?
it wasn't looking good getting down to Florida
Yeah.
because he was supposed to do the DJing down there. World of Outlaws, Real American Beer Late Model Series, the Talladega Short Track, Friday, April 26th. That was rained out Saturday, the 27th of April. Bobby Pierce picking up the win there. And then last Thursday, Mississippi Thunder Speedway was rained out. Friday night, though, they got that in. Tyler Erb picking up the win. And this past Saturday, Nick Hoffman getting a win there. World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series a couple weeks ago, Friday, April 25th. Kyle Larson getting the win at the Hobbstown Showdown, Tri-State Speedway. And then Saturday, April 26th, Sheldon Hodenshield getting the win, along with Buddy Kofoid getting a win on Wednesday at the Gettysburg Clash at Lincoln Speedway.
Maybe
last night.
you probably need to proofread those.
Probably.
Just once in a while.
You think so? Flow Racing Night in America. I did watch Tuesday night's
Cool.
action there. Bobby Pierce picking up the win at LaSalle Speedway. And then last night, Jonathan Davenport, I only caught the end of that, flipping back and forth between the hockey game and that. Davenport picking up the win at Spoon River. And they continue on. Illinois Speed Week going on, so
Yeah.
I believe that's continuing tonight. NTT IndyCar action, Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix at Barber Motorsports this past Sunday. Alex Pillow getting the win there. Arc Menard Series in action a couple weeks ago, Saturday, April 26th. Lawless Allen getting the General Tire 200 win at Talladega.
Nothing on Scott Melton?
Nothing, no.
Oh.
How did he do?
I don't know. I saw that he was there.
I did see that he was there, too. NASCAR action, Craftsman Truck Series, Speedy Cash 250 at Texas Motor Speedway this past Friday night. Corey Heim getting the win there. Xfinity Series, a couple races here to catch up on. The Ag Pro 300 at Talladega a week ago Saturday. Austin Hill getting the win in that. And then Andy's Frozen Custard 300 at Texas this past weekend. That win picked up by Kyle Larson, who was substituting for the injured Connor Zilisch. So, pretty good deal for that team. Cup Series action, Jack Links 500 at Talladega Superspeedway a couple Sundays ago. Austin Cindric, your winner. And then this past weekend, Worth 400 at Texas Motor Speedway. That was Joe Logano getting some redemption. I guess he got disqualified.
And it looked like
the
Kyle
Talladega
Larson
week
was
before.
going to be there at the end, and boy, he just backed up. I think he wound up finishing 8th.
Yeah, I did notice that. I'm not sure what happened with him there.
Picked up a push. Don't know why.
Does it make that big? I mean, he was leading. He had that. They talk all about
Big cushion.
the not being in traffic, having
Big advantage. Yep.
all that downforce from being out front. But
Yeah, but if you burn off the tires, though, backwards you go.
Formula One action, Crypto.com Miami Grand Prix at Miami International Autodrome was won by Oscar Piastri. That took place this past Sunday. Hammer Down Army action. John Young brought his super stock out to Montpelier Speedway on Saturday and ended up not starting.
Right.
Grayson Warner brought his super stock out there and ended up finishing 7th in the feature. And
Who finished 8th, Scott?
the 8 car.
The Ocho.
I ended up finishing
Right behind Mr. Warner.
I started 6th.
And backed up.
I flew off the corner,
spots.
avoiding an accident. Had to go to the tail. Came all the way back to 6th. And then my tires started going down and dropped a couple spots the last lap.
You also had that car flip in front of you, too.
That happened too. You know.
Yeah.
I did notice that, but it didn't hurt my car.
Nope.
I didn't fly on that one, but that is your racing roundup. Coming up, we're going to give Mike Hembree a call here. Do a couple more for us. Magic Moment and Ron Miller Race Cars.
All right. Magic Moment. Plan your dream wedding or special event. Make it unforgettable with Magic Moment Entertainment. Mention Hammer Down Racing Report. When you book your event, you get $100 off your reception, DJ service. With over 30 years of experience, Ron Burt will make sure your events are as perfect. Magic Moment handles everything from contracts to full liability insurance, giving you peace of mind. Plus, no hidden fees, no charges for mileage or dance floor lighting ever. Serving Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, and Kentucky. Magic Moment specializes in wedding receptions, but also excels in corporate events and bar mitzvahs. They take pride in working closely with their couples and clients to create magical moments. There's something in the air, Nate, over
Do
here.
it good.
To create magical moments tailored just for you, call 419-594-2261 or find Magic Moment Entertainment on Facebook under Magic Moment Entertainment or Ohio Sports Blitz.
He's pretty good on the closers.
Ron Miller Race Cars, your one-stop racing headquarters, located in Lambertville, Michigan. Ron Miller Race Cars has everything you need to keep your racing dreams on track, from custom race cars to parts, safety equipment, service, and even American Racer tires. If it's for racing, Ron has it or can get it. Give him a call today at 734-856-7223. Let Ron help you gear up for victory. Ron Miller Race Cars, fueling racers one lap at a time. If you do, though, give him a call and need some help. Make sure that you don't try and burn them.
Yeah.
Yeah, have we got a few minutes for that, Scott?
No,
We'll do it later.
We'll talk about that.
Yep.
Ron suffered some
Pretty significant burns.
Yeah, we'll talk about that after we give Mike here a call.
I'm sitting here trying to smile.
Are you in a lot of pain? Did you take any medication before you came?
No.
Okay. He did bring you pizza. He brought you a peace offering.
Yeah.
Hi, Mike. It's Scott Hammer, Ron Miller, John Young, the Hammer Down Racing Report. How's it going?
Going great. How are you guys?
Good.
Doing good, thanks.
So you got we don't often talk to authors. Usually we're talking to racers, track promoters.
We did talk to Don Radabaugh, the history mystery man.
Yeah, the hat. We've spoken to the Hat Man years ago, and
that's true.
Caught him at an awkward time when we called him. That's another story. But you have a book coming out, Petty versus Pearson, the rivalry that shaped NASCAR. It's coming out on May 20th, so not out yet, but I'm assuming people can probably pre-order that, right?
Right.
Okay. So let's talk before we get into the book. Kind of get to know you a little bit better. Briefly talk about your career. I mean, I've read that you've been covering NASCAR since 1975. And not only an author, but a freelance reporter. You've covered NFL, NBA, MLB, the Olympics, golf. I mean, what haven't you done, I guess? Maybe that'd be easier.
Yeah, I'm tired. I started in 75. I've been in journalism since then, not all of that time in auto racing, but the vast majority of it. Started working at the Spartanburg Herald Journal in South Carolina, which, of course, is the town where David Pearson was from, and moved around to a couple other papers and USA Today for a while, and DC Sports. So bounced around a little bit, and as you mentioned, I've covered a lot of sports, but I've got 42 years involved in auto racing of one kind or another, so most of my hearing is gone.
So auto racing is your first love.
Well, sort of, kind of. I was introduced to it in a weird way. The guy who was covering racing for us at the Spartanburg paper left the paper, and I was called in the next day and told that I was a racing writer. I'd never been to a race, never really followed the sport at all. I knew who people were, Richard Petty, et cetera, but frankly, at that particular point, I wasn't excited about it because I didn't know that much about it. I was a little bit intimidated by it, but picked it up pretty quickly. Got to know people over the first few months, and it became much easier at that point, and I came to like it a lot because there's so many characters to write about, and
unlike a lot of other sports, the venues change every week. Road courses, super speedways, short tracks, different parts of the country. So it's been a good beat to be on.
And now you've won many awards, so obviously you're pretty good at what you do. You got the American Motorsports Media Award of Excellence, 7-time National Motorsports Press Association Writer of the Year. You got a lot of accolades going on there. I mean, are you done with your career? Are you retiring after this book, or you keep going?
No, I'm still going. I freelance a good bit. I write a lot for AutoWeek.com, mostly NASCAR material, some other motorsports. So still have my hand in it. You know, I don't travel nearly as much as I used to. I used to be on the road 25, 35 weeks a year. Now I'm down to maybe once or twice a month at the most. So I'm not one of those guys who's going to hang around too long, I hope. But you know, I've gotten so much invested in the sport and know so many folks involved that I still feel like I'm mostly relevant to what's going on. So I'm going to hang around for a while.
Mike, I got to tell you, you say you're slowing down. It's kind of like driving a race car. As long as you're still enjoying yourself, don't back down.
Yeah, that's that's really why Richard Petty drove for so long. You know, he had a long string of years at the end of his career when he didn't win, didn't really come close to winning, but he loved the physical act of driving the race car fast so much that he just couldn't bring himself to say, I'm not going to do this anymore. And of course, when he quit driving in 1992, he has remained very close to the sport, and is to this day, at the age of 87. It's remarkable that a quarter century after he quit driving, there still is a very active Richard Petty fan club. You know, not many athletes have that. 25 years later. So, yeah, it kind of gets in your blood and kind of hard to get out.
Just a little cliche. You don't quit racing when you get old. You get old when you quit racing.
This coming from Ron, who's been racing since, what year have you been racing since?
1964.
Okay, so.
Yeah, well,
but who's counting?
Still a rookie. Still a rookie.
Now, you've written a handful of other NASCAR-related books. What inspired you to write about the Petty-Pearson rivalry?
Well, it actually began as a book on David Pearson alone. There have been tons of books about Richard Petty over the years, but there hadn't really been a Pearson book since 1981, when a guy named Jim Hunter, who was a NASCAR official for a lot of years, and before that a journalist, he did a book on Pearson in 1981. He and David were really close. There hadn't been another book since then, and I tried over the years several times to talk David into doing a book with me, but he never really wanted to take the time to sit down and do the interviews and go through all that, and I understood that. But I just thought a couple of years ago that, you know, I have a lot of material on David, and I'd really like to get a book out that included his whole career. So I pitched it to a couple places, and the guys at Motorbooks came back and showed a lot of interest, but they eventually said, hey, can we include Petty in this book, because they raced together for so long. They were rivals that were very competitive with each other. They're the two leading race winners in NASCAR history. Why don't we just do a book about that? And I thought that was a good idea. I also had a lot of material from Richard over the years, from interviews and such. So kind of blended that together and focused on their times with each other, and turned out pretty good, I hope.
No, I saw you spoke most recently to Richard back in 2024 about this. When was the last time you were able to speak to David Pearson?
Probably 2013, 2014, somewhere in there. He died in 2018.
Yeah.
But you know, I'd run into him occasionally at racetracks and around town. He continued living in Spartanburg, and I live about 40 miles away from there, so I'd see him at restaurants occasionally, and we'd sit down and talk. But I had, since I worked at the Spartanburg paper and later at the Greenville, South Carolina paper, which is very close, you know, he was a focus of my coverage for a long time. So I had oodles of interview transcripts with him, and was able to find a lot of other interviews that other folks had done and shared in various ways. So it's disappointing that I wasn't able to talk to David specifically for this book, but I feel like I had a lot of information anyway.
Yeah, I got about halfway through the book here, so I won't give away any spoilers at the end if there's anything more exciting at the end. But there is a lot of things, I guess, that I didn't know about. But I'm kind of the tail end of Richard Petty's career when I started watching NASCAR. So and I didn't really know that much about Pearson at all. But I guess one of the things I liked that I saw in there that you said that Pearson said that racing on dirt is the best way to learn.
Yeah, I think most guys who've had success in NASCAR, particularly guys from that era, will tell you that. You have to have remarkable car control to win on dirt. And in fact, Pearson, driver named Butch Lindley from Greenville, very, very popular short track driver over the years, talked often about that there is no way that I could do as well as I've done on asphalt if I hadn't started on dirt. It's such a and there's kind of a dividing line among a lot of fans between dirt and asphalt. Some don't like one, or they don't like the other. They'll argue back and forth about what's best. But the drivers who started on dirt swear by it. Not to say that you can't do well starting on asphalt. A lot of guys who are winning now have never even hardly seen a dirt track, But Pearson in particular was adamant about what he learned from all that with the years when he ran, old jalopies that could hardly run to when he got in really good cars on dirt and started showing folks what he could do.
And I know Richard Petty, when they decided to put dirt down on Bristol a few years ago, I remember hearing that he was not a big fan of doing the dirt on there, that he thought it was a step back for NASCAR.
Yeah, and I agree with that in a lot of ways. That was an intriguing event, and it drew a lot of attention to the sport. But it really wasn't a dirt race. It was a race on a concrete track with a bunch of dirt thrown on top of it. And Richard's point was, and it's a good one, he said, we banged around on old dirt tracks for years in this sport and tried to get away from them, tried to get to better facilities, cleaner tracks, et cetera. And now you want to take us back to that? No, he wasn't rabidly outspoken about it, but it didn't take much to nudge him into saying it's not really something that he appreciated.
Now, in the foreword, which was written by Terry Labonte, he was talking about how his interest in NASCAR began in 1968 when he got a poster of David Pearson and his Holman Woody Ford after his parents bought a brand new Ford Torino. I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, so that's how he got interested in NASCAR. Is that how people got interested in NASCAR back then? And the other thing that struck me, and I was just talking to Ron about this, was that NASCAR wasn't on TV like it is nowadays, and that he had to go and watch a race in a movie theater on closed circuit.
Yeah, the first Daytona 500 I ever saw was in the Memorial Auditorium in Spartanburg. It was closed circuit. I think it was called teleprompter. It's black and white, not much quality there. But you could see the race cars, and it was unusual because it was happening then. It was live, you could see it, as opposed to waiting a week to see it on Wide World of Sports or whatever back in the day. So yeah, in a lot of ways, it was hard to be a NASCAR fan in the 50s and 60s.
Yep. Any idea what year that might have been, Mike?
I'm guessing 66, maybe somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I was still a kid.
I was asking Ron if he had ever seen any races in the theater. He was like, "No." What did it cost more than a movie, or was it comparable?
No, it was more than a movie.
Okay,
but not a lot. And my dad didn't buy popcorn. So it was pretty cheap.
That whole thing was that struck me as kind of cool. It'd actually be kind of cool to go watch a race in a modern theater in Dolby Surround, the big screen, HD. Obviously, not quite the same back in the 60s.
So you're stuck with Days of Thunder.
Sure.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Another thing that kind of struck me too, that I didn't know that much about Lee Petty, Richard Petty's father. And I guess before we get into that, I just want to remind our listeners we're talking to Mike Hembree, author of the book Petty versus Pearson, the rivalry that shaped NASCAR. That book is due out on May 20th. But it seemed like Lee Petty's father was kind of an ass, I guess you could say, to Richard, at least on some of the things that happened. I mean, I understand why he did it, but I guess the first race Richard was in, he ended up wrecking him because he got in his way as he was trying to lap him. And then there was another,
right.
And then there was another time where Richard thought he got his first win, and Lee had filed a protest. And they checked the scorecards and determined that Lee Petty was actually the winner, not his son, Richard. Aww. I mean, that's some tough love.
Yes. Lee Petty obviously loved his son, but Lee Petty was not a lovey-dovey sort of dad. You know, he believed in hard work, and he believed in bringing his kid up in the proper way. He wasn't going to give him anything. It's kind of like the grandfather who would never let you win at checkers. You know, you got to absolutely beat him if you're going to do it. The race that Richard won in quotes, racing for the Pettys throughout NASCAR's life has been about business, and the fact that Lee actually won that race after the scorecards were checked meant that the team got more money, and because Lee was in another category in that race, as opposed to the category Richard raced in, Lee got a new car for winning that race, and Richard would not have. So it was all about, you know, what are we taking home to Randleman, North Carolina, or Level Cross, North Carolina?
So what was best for the team?
Race. Yes, absolutely. It was about the money. It was about the business. It was about, you know, buying groceries next week. It was racing, although clearly the Pettys loved racing. It was very much a business for them from start to finish.
Now, with all the stories within your book about these two drivers, is there a favorite that you have?
I don't know. That's tough. One that stands out with Pearson. You know, he got pretty sick late in life and was basically was at home for long stretches of time, bedridden part of that time. One day, the Wood Brothers team, the team that Pearson had the most success with, driving the number 21 over the years, they decided to haul one of David's old race cars from their shop down to Spartanburg to David's house, and they dropped the race car off about half a mile from David's house, and left the car there with Leonard Wood, who was David's crew chief for so many years. The rest of the guys went down to David's house. They had set this up with David's sons, obviously, and they got David out in the front yard, and Leonard cranked up the race car, and here he comes around the bend, driving it into David's driveway at his house. And David was having some bad days during that period, but the guys who were there said, you know, his face just lit up, and you can imagine what it was like to see a race car that you'd driven to so much success over the years suddenly appear at your house when you had been out of racing for a number of years. So that kind of stood out to me. Oh boy, there's so many Richard stories. This one isn't in the book, but he invited me a few years back to go with him out to a cabin that he owned in the mountains in Wyoming. And he and I and some team members went out in March and did a lot of stuff out there. We rode snowmobiles up to the mountains near the cabin, and I was behind Richard most of the way, and we finally got up to the top of the mountain. There's snow everywhere. Beautiful, just beautiful place. And I told Richard, you know, going back, there's no way that we're going to get lost, because I noticed about every 100 yards or so, you would let loose with some tobacco juice along the trail. So, if we absolutely have to have something to follow back, we got that. Kind of like leaving the breadcrumbs on the trail, except this was a little more pronounced, I guess if you want to call it. but and Richard's still involved with that, I think. So another one of those habits that he can't really give up. But so many petty stories. Winning the Daytona 500 in 1979 when Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison crashed in the third turn, trying to win the race and wrecked each other. Yep. Richard inherited the lead and wins. The 76 Daytona 500 when Richard and David crashed in the fourth turn going for the checkered flag. Still the best NASCAR finish in history in my mind. A lot of people talk about the 79 race and the fight between Cale and Donnie. But to me, 76 stands out because you had the two giants of the sport at that particular time racing like crazy for the win in the biggest race of the year, and having that kind of crash and both cars spinning out, and then Pearson having the wherewithal to remember to press the clutch in his car to keep the engine running, and he chugs across the finish line at 30 miles per hour to win the race. And that was my first Daytona 500, so I kind of thought, hey, I guess they all end this way.
Yeah.
Wasn't there one of those races where Pearson faked blowing his motor, let Richard by, and then slingshotted for the win at the end of the race?
That might have been the 76.
No, that was in 1974 in the summer race at Daytona.
Okay.
Firecracker 400. Yeah. Yeah. Sly move by Pearson. One of the reasons he was known as the Silver Fox. He definitely outwitted Petty that day, and that created a bit of animosity between them for a while. but they were, neither one of those guys held a grudge. You see so much of that going on in different kinds of racing where guys just can't get over something. But they barked about that day and maybe the next couple of days, and it was over. We got to go race at Rockingham next week. Let's go race. That's what it was about.
Well, they finished 1-2, first and second, 63 times. They raced together 551 times. In your opinion, if you had to pick one as being the better driver, who would it be, Pearson or Petty? Or can you answer that?
Well, I wish you hadn't asked me that. I've always told people not in comparing those two to each other, but if you gave me $50 million and say, okay, start a race team, can have any driver that you've seen race, who would you pick? And after thinking for a while about that, I usually come up with Pearson, because he showed me so much over the years and different ways he could win in a race car. He remarkably was never hurt in a race car. Wow. He didn't, he got in wrecks occasionally, but he was so smart at looking ahead and figuring out where other people were going to be on the racetrack, and he could see trouble developing, and so he would kind of back away from that. Not to say that I also wouldn't hire Richard Petty. Clearly, Richard Petty was a really good driver. I mean, it's hard to argue with 200 wins and 7 championships, 7 Daytona 500s. Certainly 2 of the very best.
Mike, my choice for could have been the GOAT would be Tim Richmond.
I wouldn't argue with that at all. Tim was extremely talented. I wish we could have found out how really good that he could have been.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He was a different kind of driver, brought a different kind of vibe to racing. A lot of people kind of tagged him with the Hollywood name, but he was a hardcore, down to earth, fast driver. Richmond never held back. I mean, he was fast at all kinds of tracks, particularly road courses. It's just very unfortunate how things happen.
For some of our younger fans, are there any rivalry comparisons today or maybe within the last 10 or 15 years that even come close to comparing to the rivalry that Petty and Pearson had?
No, I don't think so. Kyle Petty pointed out in the conversation that I included in the book about there's a race today and two drivers have a wreck and they kind of blame each other and they get out of the cars after the race and they start yelling at each other and might be a little pushy and shoving. And people want to say, okay, that's a rivalry. No, that's not a rivalry. That's what happened one day at one racetrack. The Petty Pearson thing went on forever. A lot of people like to talk about Dale Earnhardt versus Jeff Gordon being a big rivalry, but it really wasn't. They picked at each other back and forth, but as far as racing each other on the track for wins and such, that really didn't happen a lot. And for all those that like to talk about what bitter rivals they were, heck, they were business partners. They could put on a little show for you now and then, but they weren't at each other's necks all the time and competing in that way. So there have been other good ones. Bobby Allison, Darrell Waltrip, Bobby Allison, Kel Yarborough had a thing going, but I don't think anything fits in the same category as Petty and Pearson.
So what do you think is most different about NASCAR today than during the Petty and Pearson era?
It's much more corporate than it was then. When STP came along to be Petty's sponsor, it was really the first sponsor, national type sponsor of that sort, to come along and hang around for years and years and years. But back in the day, there wasn't a lot of concern among drivers about, I got to be careful what I say because my sponsor might leave me, or I don't want to be a puncher and a fighter because X company doesn't like that kind of image for their product or whatever. And the other thing now, the access to the drivers it's much more tight than it was back in the 60s and 70s, even into the 80s. Media back in those days, I mean, you could wander through the garage at almost any track and drivers would be hanging out at the back of their trucks, just sitting around talking, and you could sit down with them for 30 minutes. And now that's just not possible. You have to generally have to set up interviews ahead of time, and you don't get as much time as you want. It's a much more controlled environment.
And I remember. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, when that happens, you lose the color, you lose the character of these guys, and you don't really learn as much about them as you would have in the more extended sessions, kind of loose and free, conversation like. Now it's much more a formal kind of Q&A, press conference kind of thing, generally.
And I remember reading in the book about how Richard would stay and sign autographs until the last fan was there. So Yeah, absolutely. He built his career that way, and not only that, he built the sport that way. I mean, in the 60s, NASCAR essentially was carried on Richard Petty's shoulders in many ways because he created what it was like to be a successful superstar driver, and fans just couldn't get enough of it. And even in races when he would finish second or third, he would still hang around racetracks out in the middle of nowhere and sign the last autograph. And the other drivers would look around at him and think, what a hot dog. What's this guy doing? but he was smart. He still does that today. I mean, every day at the Petty shop, dozens of pieces of mail come in wanting Richard's autograph, and he usually spends part of a couple of days a week back in the back room up there just signing those autographs and firing them back off to people. It's crazy. So other than the Wyoming trip, was there anything else that you left out of the book that you kind of wish maybe had made it in?
It's a pretty long book, guys. I got a lot of stuff in there.
Okay.
I tried to stay away from regurgitating results of races and stuff like that, except for the ones that truly stood out. And I also tried in this book to using Petty and Pearson sort of as the spine of it to sort of tell the history of NASCAR too, because Petty goes back indeed to the very first race, 1949. He was there at Charlotte when his daddy Lee ran in that race. He watched the race, and Pearson came along in the late 50s. So I tried to pick out highlights, NASCAR highlights over the years, and how Richard and David fit into those, and most of them they did. So it's kind of a handy NASCAR history book too, I think, in that way. But of course, the focus is on those two guys.
So, fans of NASCAR, fans of the history of NASCAR, not just Pearson and Petty fans, are going to enjoy this book as well.
Yeah, I hope so. I did quite a few interviews with other people. Darrell Waltrip was gracious enough to invite me over to his house near Nashville for a pretty long interview about both those guys. And Darrell was never shy about answering questions, and he gave me some good insight into both Petty and Pearson and how they related to him over the years. Other drivers, I had a number of conversations over the years with Bobby Allison, particularly about Richard, because they were pretty big rivals for a time too. Of course, Bobby died not long ago, but I had talked with him a lot over the years. So I tried to blend in a lot of perspectives into the book, not just the words of Petty and Pearson.
Well, I'm not a book guy, but I was actually I was digging the book today while I was reading that. So I mean, that's definitely cool. What's the best way for fans to pre-order this and get this book?
Well, the two biggest sites are Amazon.com and BN.com, which is Barnes and Noble, BN.com. I've heard the book is actually in some stores already. I know some people who pre-ordered it months ago have already received theirs. So I don't know, if you order it today, you might get it in a few days, but official publication date is May 20th.
Again, give us the title of the book.
Petty versus Pearson, the rivalry that shaped NASCAR.
And how long did it take you to put all this together and write this book?
Well, people have asked me that, and I always tell them it's taken 50 years.
50
But actually, it was probably a 2-year process from doing the new interviews and doing research and going back through all the files I had in boxes from way back. And then, once you finish writing a book like this, you have to go back through it about 20 times to pick out stuff you possibly misspelled or whatever. And then the book goes off to the editors, and they send it back to you with questions about this and that. So it was easily a 2-year process.
Well, I think the end result is pretty good and definitely worth checking out. Mike,
well, I appreciate that, boy.
Yeah. Mike Hembree, we appreciate the time. And again, Petty versus Pearson, the rivalry that shaped NASCAR. May be able to get it now, but officially out on May 20th. I did see on Amazon where you can pre-order it, so I know it's there too. And then Barnes & Noble's website, a couple places you can get that. We appreciate the time, Mike.
Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
Bye.
Bye. There you go. Mike Hembree from South Carolina there. Longtime journalist covering NASCAR, among other things. Very interesting. He's got a lot of connections there.
I'll bet.
Yeah. What's your opinion of the book? As much
the parts that I read, Scott, were really. I could sit there and read it.
Okay. Yeah. So it's not just
yeah.
The words weren't too big for you, is what you're saying.
Indubitably.
Okay. There you go. Dennis LeBaith says he may buy the book. Cool. Let's do one for DCR Graphics, and then we're going to give Chrissy from Oakshade a call.
DCR Graphics is your source for high-quality wraps, stickers, die-cast banners, and more. Looking to upgrade your race team looks? DCR Graphics has you covered with full wraps starting at just $425 plus shipping, Want to showcase your car in a miniature form? Get a box of 8 custom diecast starting from 130 plus shipping. Available for late models, sprints, modifieds, and I do believe he's got stock cars now.
Yes, he does. I didn't put that in the copy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, see? Got you on that one.
Yeah.
And now DCR has even more ways to show off your style. Check out their brand new lineup of crew shirts, T-shirts, hoodies, hats, flags, and more. Just like what Scott's holding up there.
There you go.
So hit up DCR Graphics on Facebook or call Dale Cole at 419-308-9523 to place your order today. DCR Graphics, where speed meets style.
All right, let's get our Oakshade Raceway preview. Can you just call? Yes. Yes, we can do that. Don't forget, coming up, we'll be giving away DCR Graphic sponsored Hammer Down Racing Report window sticker. For how many? Miss Henricks. Hello.
Hello.
Chrissy. It's Scott
it is
Hammer.
you.
Ron Miller, John Young.
Hey, Scott. Hey, Ron. John.
Hey,
Hey,
girl.
Chrissy.
I know it's been a rough couple weeks for you here, so we appreciate you giving us some time to come on and talk about the upcoming season at Oakshade. I'm sure people have a lot of questions. First off, I guess
Well, thank you. Go on.
I was just going to say, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. It's day at a time, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, before we talk
It'll all
about
be-
some of the recent events that have been kind of going on, let's look ahead. What's anything new at Oakshade this year that people can look forward to?
Nothing off the top of my head right at the moment. It is our 50th season, so we're preparing for that and just gonna concentrate on, what we do and local racing and all of that. So that's what we got planned for right now.
And the opener originally pushed back from April 26th, I think it was, to supposed to be this Saturday, but then that got pushed back due to some other circumstances that nobody saw coming. So now the opener officially set for May 17th, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got a full show that night with our late models, sportsmen, super stocks, and compacts. So we're excited for that.
And a couple, you got the big special events coming up, of course, the Barney Oldfield race in June, and then, of course, the birthday race coming up in July. Any other special events coming?
We have our Papa Boiler Spectacular for our super stocks. Our super stocks is a huge division at our track weekly, and we thank all of them for their support and all of that. And we're also running that Showdown Series. We've got the vintage cars there 2 nights this year, so that's something a little different. They have a little series, so.
Yeah, I meant to ask about that second show because it had there was a different name for it.
Yeah, it's like what is it? Thunder Under? Or I don't know exactly what it is.
I'm looking it up for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
He's scrolling through.
Oh, I went too far.
Yeah.
When was the second one?
It's in August.
Vintage Thunder on Dirt.
Thunder on Dirt, yeah. Yeah, and it's a little series that they have amongst, it's relatively, I don't know if they did it last year on dirt or if it was just on asphalt, and this year they've added it to the dirt one. I can't remember exactly what John Martin had said that time we met.
So are they running for money or anything? I know they just do it for fun usually.
I think it's more of, it's a little series, amongst themselves. I think they have to join, to be part of that different series too. I'm not sure what they do, to be honest with you.
Okay. Well, I know when they normally show up, they put on quite an aggressive show for it being
For
an
collector
exhibition, for vintage collector cars,
Right.
where you can't just call up Ron Miller Race Cars. Hey, I need a new something or other for
New
my
front axle,
1932 whatever. So those. I mean, they put on a good show just in general.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. So, and this is, and I want to say it's, maybe they do, maybe it is for a little money, or maybe it's a little, point fun kind of that they have at the end of the year with it. I can't remember exactly. John Morton would know more on that. So,
Okay.
but
Gene Steele might be able to fill us in too. He always chimes in.
yes, he would too. hmm
So what night are you most looking forward to this year? Opening night, just to get the season going?
Yeah. Well, I was, but now, it'll be a little different. But that's okay. Grandma was a huge part of our life.
Sure.
And I do want to thank everyone that reached out and thinking of us and whatever. That this is definitely a very, like I said, difficult time. But every night I'm looking forward to every night. I am.
It's a good answer. It's a good promoter answer.
Yeah, 2025. We've had some challenges this winter and off season, and I'm just looking to get back into the norm and want to make racing great again. So that's what we would like to do. So,
and for those of our listeners that don't know, Donna Green, one of the original founders of the track and grandmother, mother to a lot of the family out there, recently passed away unexpectedly last week. So one of the reasons the opener is being pushed back a week, and then the 3 inches of rain that fell earlier this week didn't really help.
Yeah, well, you've got with the rain, and we lost all of last week because, let's be honest,
you weren't there.
We weren't there. Yeah, there was other stuff going on that I don't want to say more important, but at the time it needed to be done. So that's
Gene Steele, right
in
there.
the sense it was more important.
Gene Steele, he did pop in here. He says they're racing for a free meal for the banquet. That's what they race for.
That's what they race for.
Awesome.
There you go. So food. That's it.
Wonderful.
Food is definitely a motivator.
Yeah, you have.
John brought us
is.
pizza
Yes,
tonight, so that works
Gotta
out.
have a full belly.
Yeah. So I know a lot of tracks are doing the streaming thing. Has there been any talk of that out there? Anybody approach you? I know that cell signal's kind of an issue for that, but anything on that?
That thing was horrible out here, and even the internet. We do have better internet than we used to for us, with the My Race Pass and all that. However, it's not as quick as it should be or needs to be. But no. Have we looked into the streaming part? There's been a little talk on it. Have we really, dive deep into it to go that route? No. Am I saying that it wouldn't, that we would never do that? No, I'm not. That's something definitely that, it's nice. I mean, I watched racing last night, on out in Illinois. So, I mean, I enjoy it.
Well, I know that talking to Barry, the Great Lakes Super Sprints, they just put together their own streaming thing, and he talked about how because I kind of asked him that, how is he getting the signal out with the internet? Because I was thinking most people probably use like a cell phone connection. He's using Starlink, which he can take with him wherever he goes. So, I mean, maybe that's something to look into. Maybe Starlink. And then that is. And then we could have internet out there. Maybe we could get Starlink as a sponsor of Oakshade.
Ooh, that'd be great.
There you go. Let's work on that, Scott.
I'm busy. I got other stuff to do.
I understand.
Let's talk about food. Any new foods out at the track this year?
Not that I know of, we had talked about doing, someone had said something about, a pork chop on the stick. Well, looked into it. Well, they're not pre-cooked, most of the, and it just, As of right now, no. I know of no different food that we're going to be offering. But,
Which is okay because there's a
anyone-
lot of good food out there anyway.
What about the hot dog price?
Absolutely. You know what?
What?
Oh, she hasn't said a word to me yet. I don't know.
I don't
and
know.
obviously,
Dollar hot dogs.
did she answer? Is she listening? She's
I-
probably listening, but
maybe she'll chime in.
you know, I don't know what the pricing is on it. She never said.
Did
You
I
know,
talk?
and I asked.
Did I talk to you or Pam about doing a hot dog race in?
It was both of us.
Okay. Yeah, I still would like to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Yep, you're gonna do that, so
Okay.
that'll be good.
We'll have to pick a night, so that'll
Yeah.
be a special night too.
Right.
Maybe
Right, and then-
showdown night. Have a truck and a stock
Yeah.
car.
You can do
Could
that
be.
that Showdown Series night. Yeah.
We could have a couple of them, maybe. Well, okay.
Oh,
What
that's
about
exciting? Yeah.
point funds for all 4 of the regular classes again this year?
Is what?
Are
Say that again.
you having points championships for
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
4 classes?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
I do know. She did tell me that the super stocks will pay. You know what? She didn't give me the price. I better not say anything.
Is it going
No,
up? Is it going to be more than it was last year?
I don't know. I think it's going to be the same. I really do. I think it's going to be the same price for the championship.
For the championship. Okay.
You know, correct. Weekly racing. You know, we obviously, yeah, we did raise our pit prices for this year. Believe me, we don't like raising prices, but you know, it's something we needed to do. So, we did raise the pit price. It'll be $30. And yes, the payouts have increased also. I just don't know the exact amount or on that. I asked her this today, and she said they're going up, but that's all I know.
The weekly purse is going up. Is that for all 4 classes then?
Yeah, for all 4 classes. Yeah, because it's obviously going to cost you more to get in.
Okay.
So
Well, that'll make people happy, I think. And $30 is still probably the lowest pit pass price
Right.
I've seen at a lot of tracks anyway. So,
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of tracks that have been $30 for a couple years now,
Right.
and I do know
and they're
quite a
going
few
up.
went up to 35. Yeah.
everything's
So.
going up.
Chrissy, I've known your
It has.
family. I've known your family for a long time, and I'm hearing from a lot of fans and racers. They're really concerned about your dad. Is there anything you can tell us about how he's
Sure,
doing?
I'll go ahead and tell. You know, Dad has been having some issues, health issues and whatnot. And he was sick this winter. But he was finally able to get 2 stents put in last Friday.
Oh, that's
So-
great. Good.
Yes. You know, Grandma passed away on Monday or Tuesday, and he says, "Well, you're going to cancel my procedure now because it was Friday." And Mom said, "No, because it's too hard to get back in." So, finally, that was his 3rd heart cath. I want to say the 4th doctor, 3rd surgeon, but that he finally got him to work. So hopefully that'll help.
So has
with
Terry?
blood flow and-
So has Terry signed up for any marathons yet?
No marathon,
No,
but
on a good day, he didn't run. I know that.
that's right. He, I will say he looks much better than he has in quite some time. So, you know, and the doctor said he had good blood flow, so that was a good thing. So hopefully this will help, with his health issues. So,
Right.
Now, is he listening
Yeah.
listening to his doctors and doing what he's supposed to do?
oh,
Good.
of
Yeah.
course.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Wink, wink.
I had to
Pretty
ask.
good.
I had to ask.
Yeah.
So
So
what,
it's just, you know, when you used to be able to do everything by yourself and now you have to wait on someone to help you, it puts a damper in things. But
I can imagine that being frustrating.
it is. It's very frustrating. But oh well.
So what do you think? What would you say is the biggest challenge of running a racetrack these days? Compared to
you have to have a really, really thick skin.
Okay.
The internet is a wonderful thing. It really is, but it is also awful at times. And don't get me wrong. People, they might have talked or whatnot before, but it wasn't instant, and it wasn't that where I can just, you post something and I can type an instant comment, and it just, the retaliation and people can be mean. They can also, it's also wonderful, but you thick skin. You really have to, and you want to.
The internet is a double-edged sword.
It is. It very much is. Yeah. We wouldn't be able to do a lot of the things that we do, like, oh, we're going to move this start time back, if it wasn't for the internet. So, I mean, and getting the word out on things and stuff like that. But, that is, I think all along, you can't make everyone happy. But
pissing them all off is a piece of cake, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's easier than you think, and it's like, well, I didn't even do anything, and you're mad. But whatever. I mean, it just, But then at the same time, it's I don't know that it's good too. But I would say that, and I don't know. You just want to. Oh, people want I don't know. You're putting on a show for them, I guess is what I want to say.
I would have to think outthinking the weatherman is a big challenge.
Oh, it is, because no matter what, someone's going to tell you, well, you could have done this, or, and they might tell you, oh, it's going to rain, 100% chance of rain and then not rain a drop.
Right.
It's yes, that can be very frustrating and very, you just gotta go with what your gut tells you, I guess, in the sense. And, once you make your decision, you just gotta stick with it, good or bad.
So a lot of the tracks we talk to, their biggest challenge is trying to come up with ways to attract new fans, younger fans.
Absolutely.
Any ideas on trying to do that for Oakshade?
Oh, I wish I knew the magic thing on that. I
know Night of Wheels is usually a big. I didn't see that. Is there going to be a Night of Wheels this year?
You know what? Now that you just mentioned that, I don't think it's on there, but I am sure we will do something. Along those lines and whatnot. But it is hard to come up with ways to engage them, I guess, to engage the fans, and especially your younger generations,
coming up.
But I don't know.
Got to keep cycling.
I don't know the answer to that. I wish I did.
Yeah, that's what most track promoters say. If they had the magic answer, then they would be doing it. So,
exactly.
so what you're saying, though, also what I'm hearing is the schedule. It's on the website oakshaderaceway.com. Not necessarily set in stone, as far as there could be some tweaking, maybe toward the end of the season.
Oh, absolutely. Because if anyone has noticed too, there is no season championship listed yet on there. Right. There will be a season championship night. And yeah, there's a few other things. Like I said, it's kind of challenging winter, and but it's time to get into race mode. It's past time, but anyways, yeah, there will be a couple adjustments.
Okay, speaking of adjustments, but not for this year, I know, but maybe looking ahead in future years, and I know there's been talks that have been going on in the past couple years, maybe. But when When do you
About race cars with no doors?
I was going to say, when do you think? Well, I guess yeah. When might we see sprint cars return to Oakshade? Is that will that happen?
Well, I don't know. I personally enjoy sprint car racing.
Scott can fix you up with a couple of phone numbers.
Oh yeah, I know a couple.
Yeah.
Get a couple phone calls every year, and talk to them. But I mean, do you want to see winged or non-winged? I mean, what's the consensus on that one? What do you guys think?
I know a lot of people like non-wing, but I prefer the wing for some reason. I like wing shirts.
I think a non-wing show at Oakshade would be fun.
Which when that was the last time we had sprint cars was wasn't it the Great Lakes traditional sprints,
right?
Non-wing sprints.
They're both on the same car.
No, it was Boss.
Oh, it's Boss. You're right. It was Boss. But yeah,
that was in 99 or 2000. No, 2019.
19, yeah, I think that's right. Just something different, just to kind of mix it up every once in a while. I wouldn't want them every week, maybe, but special show.
And I don't know. I'm not saying that it won't happen.
You should be a politician. You're very non-committal.
Well, no, I would not be a good politician. I'm not good at lying.
Okay. Well, here's something I know you know the answers to. Let's talk about the regular show prices and start times, because I know that the times have kind of fluctuated over the past few years, but they've kind of finally settled on a certain time. So go ahead.
I think so. The gates open at 4. We'll hot lap, and normally we'll hot lap qualify. She doesn't like to, she does for late models, but that starts at 6. And then we're going to start racing this year at 7:15. She wants to try that because last year we had moved it to 7:30, and then there was some nights where it kind of seemed like it drug, to 7:30, and then. But anyways, so we're going to try 7:15.
Okay.
The grandstands is $15, ages 12 and up, 6 through 11, $5, 5 and under is free. And then I said all young pit passes are $30, all ages. So,
and same prices for all the shows, including Summer Nationals, like normal, right? So no ticket.
As far as I know, she didn't tell me no different on that.
Keep an eye on the website. If anything changes, it'll be updated there. Follow on social media. You'll be notified any changes.
Scott does a wonderful job updating the website, so thank you on that. Mm-hmm.
Any sponsors that you want to give a mention to that's come on board for this year?
Well, something the theme from years past. Harold Holland, he gives to our point fund, and appreciate that. And Dominator Race Products for sponsoring our Super Stock class, DCR Graphics, sponsoring our Sportsman division, and there's a couple more. I'm sure I'm forgetting some.
Start Zone?
But pardon me?
Start Zone sponsor?
Oh yeah, Start Zone. That's Eruduck Graphics. Start Zone. Scott loves that. Would you like a Green Flake sponsor and a Caution sponsor and all that?
We need a sponsor for everything. We need a infield tractor tire sponsor.
Yeah.
The John Young tractor tires.
There you go.
The Hammer Down Racing Report tractor tires. Infield tires.
Hey, yeah. And if anyone wants to do any sponsoring, reach out, let me know. We can work with you, and we're flexible when it comes to that.
And you could get creative.
What's the best way people can get a hold of you?
Oh, well, Facebook or my phone number, cell phone, which I'm sure it's on the website, or email that's listed too, or you can call the racetrack too, 419-337-6850.
And you'll check, if nobody's there, just leave a message, you'll check them, right?
I don't know if she has the answer machine turned on. She's great at that, but or just send a message. If you have, if you Facebook, send a Facebook message. You can send it to the track. You can send it to me, whatnot, all that. So there seemed like there was something else I was supposed to tell you, but I don't remember.
Well,
Parking spots. Anyone that wants a parking spot, let me know.
okay. Actually, I did see a question here. Hovis Racing wants to know if they'll be allowed to bring parking signs out before next weekend for a parking spot. So I'm going to think probably not. Or yes, no.
Just send a message. We're usually here during the day.
Okay.
So, okay.
And then
we can go from there.
Scott Warner wants to know if there's going to be hot lap qualifying for the Dominator Superstocks this year.
That would be a question for Pam, Mom. And I highly doubt it, but I'm not going to say
probably
yes
for the
or no.
showdown, or probably for the spectacular.
Yeah, absolutely on them too. But you know, she doesn't like to do it weekly. So
I know how that goes.
But I know quite a few of you prefer that. You know, so when you do the hot lap qualifying, some tracks, you know, invert, other line, you know, heads up. You know, what do you two prefer?
I'm kind of indifferent.
Yeah, same here. You can go either way with
It depends on how lucky you are on pill draws.
Yeah, sometimes you get lucky in the pill draw. Like I got on the pole of my heat race at Mount Pillier because I qualified fourth and they inverted 4 within the group. So I mean, sometimes it works out good, sometimes not. I don't know. I mean, I do like the from a racer standpoint. I think I like the qualifying.
At least that puts you in control of your night.
Yeah, I mean, and then you're still, even with an invert of 4, you're still with the top 4 that you're racing against, and the slower cars are behind you. But from a fan perspective, I like to see the fast guys at the back and have to work their way through traffic. So I look at it from 2 different perspectives. If I'm racing in it, I definitely want to qualify. If I'm watching, I don't. So, you know, you're not going to please everybody.
No. But
Barry Fisher, spin a wheel for the invert. 1 number for all classes. Maybe we spin a wheel that just has a yes or no on qualifying or pill draw that night.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. I'll suggest that to her.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Jeff Wells says.
Well, you never know.
Jeff Wells says, and I'm not sure how he heard about this, that they're going to be having somebody to line up before going out on the track. Is that the case?
I am going to have some help back there. So
maybe
in the staging area.
Maybe,
the staging area.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you do that and you have more than one person, because this happened to me at Mount Pillier this weekend for the heat race.
Okay.
They were kind of doing them in sections. They were getting like the next race and then the race that's coming prior to that. So you'd had 2 guys, and the one guy had a lineup that was not the same as the guy that had a different lineup right before you go on the track. So one guy's telling me, "You're starting 4th," and then I move to the outside and pull up to the next little group area, and the guy's pointing to get back on the pole. I'm like, what? The guy told me. So just make sure they have the same lineup. I don't think that's a problem, but
you know what happens on that is
they didn't do the invert.
It's with my race pass. If someone printed it or was looking at it before you calculated it, then it's going to show that lineup. Because I'll get all the time they'll come up to me and they'll be like, this isn't where I start. I'm like, well, that's not what it shows. Well, it did. Well, sometimes you have to wait. So that is.
So my race pass will be used again this year. I'm
yeah.
assuming. Okay.
Yes, it will.
Very cool.
Yeah. It works good. So.
All right. Well, looking forward to the opener coming up a week from Saturday. Got to wait another week, but you know what they say about things that come to those who wait.
Yep.
Good things. Yeah.
Yes.
I kind of messed that up pretty bad.
Yeah, I think you did.
So, next week, the 17th full show, you're going to have late models, You're going to have DCR Graphic Sportsman, the Dominator Superstocks, and the Compacts all in action. Gates open at 4. Hot lap qualifying, at least for the late models, at 6, and racing at 7:15. So, looking forward to it. Is track going to be ready? Are we good to go? Do you got a lot to do still? I know you said you lost a week.
Well, yeah, we have a lot to do still, but no, right now we're still pumping water.
Okay.
You know, it was completely gone, and then, you know, but it's off the racetrack, so.
So if the weather cooperates, next week shouldn't be a problem, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Ron, I expect a good forecast for next week.
There we go.
All right, Chrissy, always a pleasure talking to you. Looking forward to seeing you a week from Saturday.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Prayers for the family, Chris.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you.
I appreciate it. All right. Nice.
Bye. There you go. Chrissy Henricks from Oakshade Raceway. Again, opener will be now May 17th, a week from Saturday.
Right.
So looking forward to that. Let's do a little bit of racing news, and then we're going to give away some stuff. Does that sound like a good plan to anybody here? Just say yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It's going to be this.
Latest racing news.
I guessed right. Jack Link's 500 Talladega Super Speedway Cup Series race second place finisher Ryan Preece and fifth place finisher Joey Logano were subsequently disqualified following post-race inspection for technical violations. NASCAR officials found an illegal spoiler on Preece's Mustang and a spoiler violation on Logano's number 22 Mustang that also violated overall assembled vehicle rules. Both teams have accepted their disqualifications. So that was after the Talladega race a couple weeks ago.
Right.
And then, of course, Joey Logano comes back and wins last week at Texas, kind of like Ryan Blaney, the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series champion, has joined his father, Dave Blaney, you may have heard of him, as one of the 3 ownership partners of Ohio's Sharon Speedway. As the 3/8 mile dirt track gears up for its May 10th season opener, Dave Blaney remains as an owner partner, but will now be joined by his son Ryan, an area businessman and racer Will Thomas III. Dave Willoughby will remain as general manager for what will be his 16th year in the role. In 2002, Dave Blaney and area businessman Jim Weller Sr. of Liberty Steel Industries and Bill and Ron Kreila of Kreila Contractors purchased Sharon Speedway. Basically, Blaney took over in 2002.
What about Hartford?
I don't know. Iowa. Did you guys hear about Iowa Bill HF 645?
What's that?
It's a bill in Iowa titled "Relating to Nuisance Actions Against Racing Facilities and Racetracks." It's a bill in Iowa that was recently passed.
Really?
Yeah, check this out. It was pretty. I saw this, and Ron Bird also shared this with me from Magic Moment.
Right.
It's a bill that helps protect tracks from nuisance complaints. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds signed the bill into law on Thursday last week, and it goes into effect on July 1st. The law states, quote, "A racing facility or racetrack shall not be subject to any action brought by a surrounding property owner under any nuisance taking or other theory if the racing facility or racetrack was built before the surrounding real property owner either purchased the real property or built in the area of the racing facility or racetrack." Unquote. That's the quote.
Okay. A lot of
so basically,
a lot of racetracks in there.
If the racetrack existed before the property that an owner bought, or property owner bought in, yeah, basically the track was there first. Is kind of is what it's saying. Too bad. Tough shit to you for buying a place next to a racetrack. Promoters believe the bill will protect tracks from a population that moves near a track. I know, Millstream was kind of a little bit worried about that. As it seemed that they were starting to build houses out there around that.
Right.
If there was a bill like that,
well, and
in Ohio,
if you remember, in one of our discussions with Brian Speedway, had a couple people that were kind of interested in bringing
but they don't
it back.
have. Yeah, well, and then that wouldn't fall under this protection because those houses are. I don't know. I would assume that since the track's technically not there, that those houses would predate the track if someone were to build it back
Yeah,
up.
maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. Please don't take legal advice from me. But interesting bill. I thought that was kind of cool. And it would help protect existing tracks. Should a bill like that in Ohio come up. NASCAR Championship Weekend is returning to Homestead Miami Speedway in 2026. The 1.5 mile super speedway hosted the event from 2002 through 2019. It moved to Phoenix Raceway in 2020 and has been held there yearly. This November's championship races for the NASCAR Cup Series Xfinity and Craftsman Truck Series will end that run and signal the beginning of a rotation that will see championship weekend in a different location annually. NASCAR Executive Vice President, Chief Venue and Racing Innovation Officer Ben Kennedy said Phoenix and Homestead are in the rotation to host the championship weekend. Other locations under consideration would be Las Vegas Motor Speedway, which Speedway Motorsports owns.
Yeah, I was wondering
I
if
guess
all of those tracks were owned by NASCAR owned tracks.
I'm not sure on that, but I'd like to see a rotation. I mean, Phoenix maybe once in a while is fine, but every year, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess, and from what I read, I think they're just limiting it to 1.5 tracks. No road courses or super speedways will show up in that rotation for the championship weekend.
No Martinsville.
It didn't say, never say never, I guess. And finally, TNT Sports live coverage begins on June 28th at the Quaker State 400 from Atlanta Motor Speedway. The Atlanta debut will be followed by 4 consecutive Sundays of NASCAR Cup Series action on TNT, True TV, and Max, the app.
Right.
Subscription TV stuff. I have to explain this stuff to my parents, so, like, what? They still watch they have an antenna. They get over-the-air TV.
Rabbit ears.
That's all they do, which is fine. Unless you want to watch these races, and that's going to be a problem. The broadcast booth team will feature Dale Earnhardt Jr., Steve Letarte, and Adam Alexander. They will be joined by pit reporters Marty Snyder, Danielle Trotta, and Alan Cavanna. TNT's NASCAR Nation pre- and post-race studio coverage will be on-site, hosted by Shannon Spake, with analysts Jamie McMurray and Parker Kligerman. TNT Sports NASCAR coverage includes the NASCAR In-Season Challenge Altcast on True TV. The alternate viewing experience will take fans inside the individual driver bracket storylines each week and will be hosted by former crew chief Larry McReynolds and 21-time NASCAR Cup Series winner Jeff Burton. I like Jeff Burton.
Sounds like a full crew.
Yeah, so could be interesting. Want to do a Dittman Motorsports here before we get to our Hammer Down hotline for this week?
I sure can. Dittman Motorsports racers, get ready. Dittman Motorsports is your one-stop race shop in Northwest Ohio and offering on-location services at Fremont and Oakshade. Dittman Motorsports offers Hoosier tires, high-performance parts, and full-service support to keep you on track and in the lead. And now the new late model RR number 2 tires are in stock, along with some fresh super stock modified and sportsman tires. Whether you need expert service or top-tier gear, Dittman's got you covered. Call 419-283-8580. Stop by the shop or check them out online at dittmanmotorsports.com.
To be fair, I just threw those at him at the last minute before we came on.
Okay.
Said, hey, he said he was bored and he wanted to know if he could come over, and he said he was bringing pizza. I'm like, okay.
Well, okay.
Gave him some sponsors to read there. As much as we try and kill the Hammer Down hotline,
it's back.
You can't keep a good thing down, I guess. If you'd like to leave a message or send a text, right there's the number, 419-318-3081. Call or text anytime, day or night. You want to start with the text, or should we start with the... Let's do the text, because that one's older. This came out after previous weekend's action. And I don't I'm not familiar with the whole situation here, but the text is apparently not happy with I-96 Speedway. Shame on you, I-96 Speedway. Not only did you screw over the drivers, but more importantly, you screwed over the fans. Your track is always asking for support online, and then you pulled the stunt like you did on last Friday night. Good way to run off fans, and late model teams do better. And that would have been what was that, the 25th, I think? And I don't know what happened there. I know that they cut the program short,
part of the show.
I heard it rained, and so it got pushed back, and was getting late, and then I've heard that they either just cut it off and said they're going to make up the late model feature some other time, or I've also heard that it started raining and that's why they stopped racing. So I have no insight on this. I don't know. So there you go. That's a text. That's one of the few ones I can't help out with. But then we did get this call here. So this one we can probably help out with a little bit more.
Yeah. Hammer Down Hotline.
What do we got to do to start a front-wheel drive V6 minivan class? I think we're missing something here. I mean, lots of advertising space for sponsors on the side of the minivan.
It's not wrong.
Popped up hot rod minivans, slinging dirt, couldn't hurt, baby. Let's do it. Let's get this class started. Yeah.
I'm guessing minivans probably easy to find too.
I would think, yeah.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah,
and he's got a point. There's plenty of room for sponsors on there.
And maybe they should restrict it to lady entries.
Let's see. I think
mom
you're being
vans,
sexist.
Soccer mom
vans.
division.
Soccer mom class.
Yes.
Yeah. Stalker
mom.
Yeah.
It's too close to stalker.
Yeah,
now
exactly.
we're getting into some dangerous territory there. I have seen a minivan race at one of the hangover races at Sandusky before I bought a car. It was
right.
I think it was in the aughts, the 2000 aughts, the zeros, maybe 2008, something like that. I remember taking a picture of it and like, look, I'm watching minivans race.
Yeah.
It was in the 4-cylinder class, or 4 and 6-cylinder class. So there you go. Thank you for that call. Again, feel free to call our Hammer Down hotline, 419-318-3081. Call or text anytime.
I'm sure Ron Miller Race Cars and Dipman Motorsports could handle putting roll cages in those vans.
You think so? Would there be a discount for the stalker moms?
Maybe. It depends.
All right, let's do how many.
How many?
So last week's how many? Actually, it was a couple weeks ago when we did this. It was how many All-Stars were going to be at Fremont on Saturday, April 26th, I believe it was,
right?
Which was the All-Star season opener. That number was 29 All-Stars. You said 38. Scott Warner was here. He picked his car number 57. I chose 37.
Yeah.
So
what?
Even a blind squirrel can find a nut every once in a while. Did I get that saying right?
I think that's 2 nuts in a row for you, Scott.
I'm getting a little nutty. So our listener winner, only one guessed dead on. Guessed exactly 29. That would be Gretchen Knapp.
I was going to guess one of the Hovis family.
You would think so. I think they were close. I did notice that. But, so congratulations, Gretchen Knapp. I have your sticker right here. Hammer Down Racing Report window sticker. Congratulations. And there it is. Bink. We'll give you 30 days to claim that. And now, if you'd like to win one of these, let's...
I wonder if the Hovis family uses AI to come up with their answers.
I wouldn't know that AI would be that smart, and then you'd have to type it in.
No, I don't know.
There's no law against it that says,
right.
no rule that says you can't use AI. I'd be curious if you did. So if you put your guess in, put AI after it, because I wanted...
Yeah, we want to know.
Everybody's just going to put AI after it. Anyway, this week's How Many? A chance to win a Hammer Down Racing Report sticker courtesy of DCR Graphics. Again, you can get these for just $5. Slap one of them on your car and become part of the Hammer Down Army. We'll report on your race finishes each and every week as long as you submit them. And this week's How Many is going to be, we're going to do another Fremont one.
Ooh.
They got a big show coming up. Not this weekend.
Right.
Wednesday night. High Limit Series. We'll be at Fremont Speedway.
The big High Limit Series.
The big High Limit
real
Series.
One.
Midweek show. So it'll be the local guys. I'm sure the national High Limit guys. I don't think there's any competing World of Outlaw shows. There's maybe a few World of Outlaw guys might trickle in there. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. So, that's the question is, pull that up here. How many High Limit competitors will we have at Fremont on Wednesday? That is your how many for this week. And we'll give you until
Tuesday night,
midnight.
Yep.
The end of the day, Tuesday. So you have till the end of the day, Tuesday, to get your guess in. So you can put your guess in now, or you can wait. Just if you're listening to us on Spotify or some other podcasting platform, you can always just head on over to our Facebook page and put your guess in the comments at any time, as long as it's before midnight
on Tuesday.
Well, actually, 11:59 on Tuesday, because midnight would technically be Wednesday then. Gotta get all technical. 11:59 and 59 seconds on Tuesday.
That's it.
PM. Walleye and Fort Wayne are still tied at 0, second period.
Last time I looked, Tigers were ahead 8-1.
We're becoming a multiple sports show.
Absolutely. After winning their opener in their doubleheader today, 10-1 against the Colorado Rockies.
So Hovis Racing is guessing 44. Barry Fisher's got 68. Chad's got 50. You already put in 0? What is wrong with you? I don't know that. I didn't look at the weather forecast that far out.
I didn't either.
I did.
Oh, my.
I got to guess first. So I'm going to go with, I think it's going to be, I'm going to go with Hovis Racing there. I'm going to go with 44. Ron?
42.
The answer to life.
That's it.
The universe and everything. And what are you thinking, John?
I'm going to be pessimistic. I'm going to say 0.
Oh, you did say 0 already, because you're right there.
You weren't paying attention, Scott.
I just read it. It went in one ear and out the other. So there you go. Again, you can get your guess in until...
I think I was more surprised by that answer than anything.
End of the day, Tuesday. Chance to win one of these Hammer Down Race Report window stickers. So let's check out our menu for this weekend, our DCR Graphics Race menu.
Oh, just for what it's worth.
Oh wait,
Scott,
let's before we get to the menu, let's talk about your incident.
But just for what it's worth, there are a couple of Oakshade passes that have not been picked up. So
we may be giving some of those away next week.
In honor of next week's opener.
We might have some passes to give away.
We'll have some passes.
Okay.
No. So here's an FYI for all you racers. A good customer of Ron Miller Race Cars said that he had a starter issue and wondered if I'd take a look at it. I wasn't going to throw anybody under the bus for trying to kill me. So I told him to bring it over. We left his race car on the trailer. I told him hit the starter button, and it went ruh and stopped. So the engine had a hard stop. So I knew it wasn't the starter. I told him there was some sort of an engine issue and suggested that he pull the spark plugs out and I would take a look at it. So he got out his handy dandy little tool caddy, pulled the spark plugs out, and I said, okay, go ahead and crank it over. With that, an engine full of methanol spewed out the spark plug holes, and somehow a spark plug wire created a spark and lit me up. Literally. Scott, I've got, if any of the ladies were there, they'd have gotten a free show because I dropped my drawers, took my shoes off, and rolled on the ground.
Things are still blurry.
Yeah.
Was it like censored out in your brain? Did you sense? Did you at least try and put him out?
He was screaming, "Where the hell's a fire extinguisher?"
He was worried about his car.
God, the wooden floor in his trailer was burning.
I come over on the other side of the trailer and I just see somebody with their trousers down and with their cheeks up. I'm like, whoa.
But anyway, it's not as funny as it sounds.
I've got some pretty significant second-degree burns and blisters on both legs, the left leg being much worse. And for some reason, my left shin feels like somebody hit me with a baseball bat. I don't know.
How long does that take to heal from burns?
I don't know. We're about to find out. I'll get back with you in a couple of weeks.
Have you been consulting Jimmy McCune?
No, I haven't called Jimmy. I was going to do that. Today kind of got out of control. But I did see the doctor, our family doctor, at 8 o'clock this morning, and she said, they look really good. There's no redness around it. Keep it clean. Here's a script. Go to your Walgreens. And that was a placement ad.
So are you going to be ready to race once Steve gets his engine back? Or is that going to be difficult?
Maybe. I don't know. Steve should have his motor back the end of this week. He should be in the 35 truck again. I will probably be spectating on Fremont's page.
Well, maybe
I don't think there's anything special this week, so it's on their. Yeah, what is the name of their streaming service?
Oh, the Rev TV.
Rev Limit.
Is it Rev Limit or Rev TV?
I think it's Rev Limit. Producer Dave.
Dave would know. Yes. So, well, we're glad you made it here.
Yeah.
In your slippers.
Bedroom slippers. And
you look very comfortable.
Not especially, but looks are deceiving, dude.
Well, hopefully you heal quick. And
that I will.
Will you be servicing John's vehicle anymore?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, I got kicked out.
So have you fixed it yet?
No.
Okay.
You know something, Scott, that I do need to mention. Every race car that I've had, Rev Limit TV. Thank you, Dave.
You were right. I was wrong.
Every race car that I have built or owned, probably in the last 40 years, the ignition switch and the starter button are separate from each other, meaning that you can have the ignition switch off and push the starter button and still spin the engine over. John's was not wired that way. He had to have the ignition switch on for the starter button to work.
You might want to.
And it's just a matter of changing the wire on the ignition switch from one side to the other.
We can make that happen.
We can make that happen. All right.
Yeah. So that's today's heads up.
That's today's tech tip from Ron Miller Race Cars.
And it hurts.
Sometimes learning is painful. Let's do our DCR Graphics race menu for the week.
This weekend's racing menu.
So tomorrow night, we actually have 3 choices on the menu.
Right.
Lima Land Motorsports Park, the Mark Stryker Memorial, featuring USAC Midwest Thunder Midgets, the UMP Modifieds, Dirt Track Truck Series, and Thunder Stocks. Gates open at 5, racing at 7:30, general admission $15. Toledo Speedway also in action tomorrow night.
Ooh.
Central Avenue Truck Park's School Bus Figure 8 night. Late Model Sportsman in action, as well as the factory stocks. And then, of course, the School Bus Figure 8. There's going to be a boat Figure 8. Gates open at 5 there. Racing at 7. General admission is $20 there at Toledo Speedway. And then, of course, Attica Raceway Park, the Eric Phillips 37th Anniversary Classic, with the AFCS 410 Sprints, UMP Late Models, and AFCS 305 Sprints. Gates open at 5, racing at 7:45, and general admission is $22 at Attica. So that's on the menu for Friday. For Saturday, we have quite the selection for you this weekend. Flat Rock Speedway, it's Motor City Madness, Outlaw Super Late Models, Street Stocks, and Figure 8s. Gates open at noon. Racing will be at 4. Remember, they have the earlier start times early in the season. Flat Rock Speedway there. General admission, $16 for that show. Lorraine Raceway Park, it's Kids Bike Races night. The Great Lakes Truck Tour, that new series, used to be the CRA.
CRA. Yeah.
Was it CRA truck? CRS trucks, Coyotes.
CRS, yes.
Yeah. That's going to be there. The Grand Nationals, Buckeye Buggy Series. Buckeye Buggy Series. I don't know what that is, but
I don't either. Still nothing,
okay.
Scott.
And modifieds and juice box carts. Oh, and factory stock. So quite a big show there. Gates open at 2:30 at Lorraine Raceway Park with racing at 6. General admission $15. Millstream Speedway, they have pulled the plug on this weekend's quarter-mile spectacular due to the grounds being saturated from the excessively heavy rains from the other night. So that sucks. Fremont Speedway, Ohio Truck Sales Driver versus Fans Sim Racing Night. So those of you iRacing guys, you want to go challenge some real drivers? Yeah. Well, I guess some of the real drivers are iRacing drivers. So that's going on at Fremont. AFCS 410 Sprints, the AFCS 305s, and Dirt Trucks also in action. Gates open at 4, racing at 7 p.m. General admission $20 there at Fremont. Wayne County Speedway, it's Ladies Night. 410 Sprints, UMP Late Models, UMP Modifieds, Super Stocks, and Mini Stocks. Gates open at 3, racing at 7. General admission $20 there at Wayne County Speedway. Montpelier Speedway, as producer David mentioned earlier, still on for this weekend.
Despite rumors.
Yeah, I've heard the rumors from two different places, but
yeah,
nothing substantial. No, Montpelier's running this weekend. It's the Race for the Roses featuring UMP Modified Street Stock, Super Stocks, and Hornets. Gates open at 4, racing at 7. General admission is $12 there. Sandusky Speedway.
Did you catch that, Race for the Roses? Because it kind of coincides with the Kentucky Derby.
I thought it was more Mother's Day.
Which just happened a couple of days ago.
I think it's more Mother's Day, because I think they're having roses that you can give to your mother.
Ooh. Maybe
it's a combination.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Bridging. I love it when things come together.
Yes. Sandusky Speedway, Factory Stocks, Pro Compacts, and Warriors. Gates open at 4, racing at 7 p.m. General admission $10 there at Sandusky Speedway as they try to get their season started. They got rained out last weekend. Oakshade Raceway, as we mentioned, that has been canceled. The season opener now will be the following Saturday, May 17th. Butler Speedway in action, though, with the Great Lakes Traditional Sprints, 410 Sprints, and 4 cylinders in action. Gates open at 4, racing at 7:30. General admission $15 there. Butler Speedway, and then, as we mentioned, Wednesday, May 14th, Fremont Speedway. It's Kistler Racing Products Night featuring the Kubota High Limit Racing Series. It's actually the Roto-Rooter Midweek Series. Gates open at 4 on Wednesday. Racing will be at 7:30. General admission tickets are $45.
Wow.
At Fremont Speedway Wednesday night. How's our weekend weather, pit stop, and midweek weather looking?
I haven't looked at the midweek. Kind of caught me off guard there. I think the weekend's going to be fine, Scott. It'll be a little bit cooler. Saturday,
I thought it was supposed to warm up this
Saturday,
weekend.
We're still going to be in the low 70s. It's May, Scott, and
it may snow or it may not.
Right. we should be touching 80 degrees, and that's not happening. But
speaking of which, I just opened up the radar, and there's like a bunch of blue just to our north.
Ooh, uh-oh.
I think that's like freeze warning, frost, maybe. I don't know.
Frost
advisory. That's what it is.
Right. Oh,
anyways, continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, nope, you got it.
I was looking for Wednesday for you. Granted, this is for here, but scattered thunderstorms, high of 80. It's only 30% chance, though. A few scattered showers and storms, sunshine and clouds mixed. A very mild mid-May weather pattern. So 70% chance it's not going to rain on Wednesday.
That's it.
For the High Limit Series there. So there you go. Other series action, the Lucas Oil Late Model Series. They're going to be at Farmer City Speedway on Friday night, Fairbury Speedway on Saturday night, and Eagles Speedway in Eagle, Nebraska. That'll be a week from tonight on Thursday. Actually, they're going to be there Thursday through Saturday next weekend. So the Kubota High Limit Racing Series, as we mentioned, they're going to be at Fremont on Wednesday. But before that, they're going to be at the Hasty Bake Kansas City Clash at Lakeside Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas. That's going to be tomorrow night, Friday night. Then Tri-City Speedway in Granite City, Illinois on Saturday. Then it's off to Kokomo Speedway in Indiana on Monday. So then they get a day off, and then they'll be at
It's a busy
Fremont.
week for those guys.
It is.
Yeah.
World of Outlaw, NASA Energy Drink Sprint Car Series, the Morgan Cup at Williams Grove Speedway in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. That takes place this Friday and Saturday night. Federated Auto Parts Showdown at Ohsweken Speedway in Ontario, Canada. That is going to be Wednesday and Thursday, May 14th and 15th. So World of Outlaws will be in action the same night as the High Limit.
Okay.
Full Racing Night in America, that continues tonight, I thought. Isn't it tonight?
Nod your head, Dave.
Yeah, wait, where? For some reason, all I have is Marshalltown Speedway in Iowa on Tuesday of next week. But, well, no, that makes sense. We'll go with that. World of Outlaws, Real American Beer Late Model Series, Great Lakes Showdown. That's going to be at Raceway 7 in Conneaut, Ohio. That'll be next Thursday, May 15th. In the next series, they're going to be at the Indianapolis Grand Prix race number 1. Actually, they got 2 races here. Grand Prix race number 1 will be at Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course on Friday at 7 o'clock. Then race number 2 will be Saturday at 1 p.m. Both those races will be on FS1. The NTT IndyCar Series Sancio Grand Prix at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course. That takes place Saturday at 4:30 on Fox. Lincoln, Illinois tonight. Thank you, Dave. ARCA Menards Series. The Tide 158 Kansas Speedway, that takes place tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. That'll be on FS1. NASCAR Crafts and Truck Series, also at Kansas Speedway for the Heart of America 200. That'll be at 7:30 p.m. on Saturday night on FS1. And then the NASCAR Cup Series Advent 400 at Kansas. That takes place Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock, and that also will be on FS1. So that's it.
Really?
I got a hockey game to watch here. How much time we got left? 6 minutes in the...
Six.
Still 0-0, so I haven't missed any goals, so that's good. Did I miss any fights? You have a much better angle of our weird...
Yeah, they have a couple of meetings of the minds, but
Did they? Okay. Well, good. Thanks to producer Dave Kemmer, contributors John Young, Bob Stazak. Make sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on X at Hammer Report, follow us on YouTube. Listen to us on your favorite podcasting platform, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Check us out at HammerdownRacingReport.com. Get more information on the Hammerdown Army there as well. Don't forget, get a hold of DCR Graphics to get you one of these if you did not win one. Just $5. He'll mail it out to you. Bring it to the track, whatever. Oh, and Scott had mentioned last week, remember we were talking about DCR. Dale Cole's got all the names around the Hammerdown Racing Report logo on his late model. And Scott said, oh, you should make some T-shirts with that. I talked to Dale earlier this week. He's like, that was the plan all along. So there will be T-shirts. So if your name's on there, you might want to get one of those T-shirts. Good marketing move on his part. Thanks to our sponsors, Oakshade Raceway, Romulan Race Cars, Magic Moment Entertainment, Dipman Motorsports, Dominator Race Products, DCR Graphics, and Freeze Frame Photos. Thanks to our guests this week, Mike Hembree with the books coming out May 20th again. Mm-hmm. Petty versus Pearson, the rivalry that shaped NASCAR. Very interesting book, especially if you're into some of that older stuff. Back when I was younger, I didn't appreciate the older stuff. I was like, that's just old crap. Nobody cares about that. Now that I'm somewhat older, I wouldn't say as old as you, but I'm getting there. Now that's
you can hope, Scott.
It is more interesting because then you can kind of see where the sport has been and where it's going. You have a point of reference, I guess.
Almost like a middleman.
Something like that. And also thanks to Christina Henricks from Oakshade Raceway for joining us next week. I have
family too.
I have a driver in mind.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention it yet, but I also been working on Angola Motorsports Park.
Okay.
They're set to kick off their race season next Saturday, so trying to get somebody from there. I know last year they were a little too busy. So I've been back and forth here. Yeah, they're working to see if track prep on a asphalt. Yeah. Other prep.
Trying to slide that one by, Scott.
Gotcha. So hopefully we'll get to talk to somebody from Angola Motor Speedway or Motorsports Park next week. So until then, that's it for this edition. We'll see you next Thursday night at 7 o'clock. That's a wrap on show number 377 of the Hammerdown
Racing Report.
You have been listening to the Hammerdown Racing Report, available on demand on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting platform.